What a wonderful atmosphere. Bonjour, bienvenue. Stacy promised me, I said, I will only sign up for this talk.
Si on parle en français.
Yeah, si on parle en français.
Yeah. So
C'est bien pour tout le monde, si on peut parler en français? Pas de problème. Okay.
All right. Good stuff.
Super cool.
All right.
So there are like 3 things I want to say in French. Let's see. J'ai cassé votre ordinateur.
Okay, I broke your computer. That's fine.
Il y a un chat dans la présentation.
There's a cat in the presentation. That's
Yes.
That's
Yes.
2 out of 2.
Et on pense que Passport, c'est super cool.
Yeah, we think Passport is super cool.
Et pour le repas, j'ai mangé un chien chaud.
Okay, so you had a hot dog for, yeah, chien chaud is like really bad, man. So, yeah, okay. All right.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone, for...
Thanks for coming.
Yes. This is fantastic. This is not a foundation talk. We are volunteers for the foundation, but we are doing this sort of independently. And we're not looking for trouble. We are looking just to provide some good feedback to everyone. Okay, so a little introduction about ourselves. Okay, we'll get that next slide. Basically, just a quick overview about what we're going to be talking today. We'll talk about ourselves. We're going to talk about the players in Passport. So basically the members that make up the Passport program. We'll talk in a second what Passport's all about. We're going to talk about our experiences signing up for the Passport program, just like a regular person would go sign up for it. We went and we signed up for all of them, as many as we could, independently, and what our experiences were. Our experiences using the different public cloud providers, what we thought about it. Observations, things that we thought were super cool, and we thought were great additions. And then our ideas of how we might improve Passport, get it to work a little bit more efficient, and just a better user experience that we're hoping we can impart back to those of you that are wearing City Cloud t-shirts. Okay, introductions, a little bit about ourselves. Okay, me first. My name is John Studeris. I'm one of the OpenStack US ambassadors. I run several of the Meetup groups in the United States, so New York, Chicago, Northern Virginia, DC, San Diego. So I've given a couple of talks. 2 days ago, I gave a talk on running OpenStack on the ARM processor. The last conference, I gave a talk or a couple of workshops on using service function chaining within OpenStack to do security controls, network security controls. And I do a little bit of security product evangelism, product development, and I also do software security assessments and risk assessments. And Stacy, my cohort here.
Yeah. Hi, Stacy Verono. I'm a senior cloud architect at CloudOps. I focus on OpenStack and GCP. On the French side, I'm Montreal-based. So I'm the OpenStack Canadian ambassador, so far a lonely ambassador in Canada. But yeah, being part of rebooting and helping the Canadian community like Montreal, Toronto user group, Ottawa, recently Winnipeg, but we're going like Edmonton, Calgary. There's some people in the room, Corey, that's helping out, and also Vancouver, that needs some reboot. So OpenStack user since 2013. Well, like John spoken at OpenStack Days and Summit in the past. And also the mentorship program of the foundation since 2017. And if you want to follow my rant on Twitter, just feel free.
And a separate plug, we're both organizers for the OpenStack Canada Days that's planned for this October.
October, yeah.
In Montreal. So if you're interested in getting involved with that, let us know. We're looking for sponsors. I'm also one of the organizers for, we're doing a half day in the San Francisco Bay Area on July 10th at the Intel campus. So if you're interested in getting involved with that, we need a couple more sponsors, and we're looking for presentations as well. So that'll be in San Jose, California. So come by, let us know if you're interested in getting involved with either of those events.
Yeah, so for those of you who are not public cloud providers and are not part of Passport, the OpenStack Passport program is basically, well, it is a global passport program. The idea is to have collaborative effort between cloud providers and hey, you have a Slack message to drive. It's simple. It's like you have public cloud providers running OpenStack. You have the foundation who has a base of users. I'm a newbie in OpenStack. I want to test it without having to go through OpenStack Ansible or OOO or doing some Cola container stuff. I just want to consume a public cloud based on OpenStack. I go through that program. It brings me to the trial page of whoever provider I've chosen. I onboard, and then I have access for limited, like 15 days or something like that. But if you want to know more, there's the OpenStackPassport.org, OpenStack.org/passport. That's going to give you a landing page with all the providers, and from there you can go on. Yeah. So next one. Yay. So I kind of covered a bit of that, but yeah. So the kind of jumped ahead on a few things, but it's not a problem. So people that are attending meetups are asking like, how do I get involved? How do I get thing going? And instead of saying like, well, just try to do DevStack, which is a solution of getting OpenStack running on your laptop. So well, maybe just use a public cloud provider to do that, that are part of the Passport program. You can do the classic GCP, let's do $300 worth of credits from a public cloud provider like GCP, AWS, Azure, and so on, and then spin a big VM and do your stuff, maybe an all-in-one, or even DevStack in there, so that's a valid point. But again, you're not having the full experience of just like the raw deployment from somebody who's offering it publicly. The idea is that is Passport and the review we're doing a viable recommendation for newbies and versus like just spinning stuff on GCP and Azure and consuming. So we're gonna at the same time address that with the following slides.
Yeah. I think we both independently, by running meetup groups, we get a lot of people coming in who've never used OpenStack before. They want to get involved with cloud computing. They want to use it. They're maybe not quite interested in setting it up, but they want to be a consumer of it. So we, as organizers and sort of advocates of OpenStack, we want to make sure that their first experience using OpenStack is a positive one. So historically, we didn't have a good way to go. We didn't have a good way to say, here you go, here's a good way for you to try out OpenStack, apart from just installing DevStack, which is kind of tricky, and that's sort of a bad first experience. I started going and just running a private cloud and giving people access to that. And then when the foundation said, hey, we got this program here, I started going, okay, well, maybe this is a good way for new users that are coming into the meetup groups for them to get a good first experience of OpenStack. And so our question was, is this a good way for those newbies to get that good first experience?
Okay, so the goal of the talk is that we're there's some specifics. As can we actually recommend Passport for a newbie that's coming in? Is using Passport like making you super happy about using OpenStack? Is the process of getting that access too painful? And if so, is there a recommendation on that? Are there providers that are better than others? And it's not about like how many can I can I do like a perf test on and kind of kill the API of the provider? That's not the goal. It's more about features, like what APIs are available. Like, do they provide heat or not, or like Magnum or something? So that's what we did through the process. Is there some advice we can give to the newbies trying to use Passport program, but also to the Passport members towards onboarding people through the trial program? And like mentioned, like it's not an in-depth, it's really like at eye level and see what's offered by the providers. Again, the players, we'll go through the list of members list and location. So we have Telefonica, UK Cloud, Scale Up Technology, City Networks. We have two guys that are front. Elastex, Home at Cloud, Vexos, Montreal, shout out here. So OVH also has data centers in Montreal. Catalyst Cloud and Memset. So those are the foundation, the Passport members, sorry. Right now, there's a new one that just joined. We'll cover that a bit later. Kind of cheated because yesterday I attended a session that mentioned there was a new member. To give you an idea of what the location, well, Elastex is mostly based in Sweden, Home at Cloud in Czech Republic, UK Cloud, well, kind of obvious. In England, CD network is spread everywhere, which is awesome. So it gives you like a choice of where you want to spin your stuff, from England to Dubai. OVH, I can switch to French. Gravelines, Beauharnois, Strasbourg, then Warsaw, Frankfurt, and London. You can see the switch in the accent, right? So yeah, Catalyst Cloud is a New Zealand-based. Volvexo, shootout again. Shout out Montreal-based, awesome, and you know, CEO is also part of the technical committee of OpenStack, so that's cool. Well, Memset, that's England. Telefonica, well, let's say Latin America, but also some stuff in the US, and Scale Up, which is in Germany. The two that are in red are basically the one that didn't reply to our request of getting a trial. So,
and I think when selecting, you know, if you're a user and you're trying to figure out which location, which providers to go through, this might be useful because maybe you want to get a location that's closest to you for latency reasons. But otherwise, if you're just looking to get an experience, maybe it doesn't really matter, you know, where the actual location is. If you just want to get a look and feel for what's the cloud like, what's using OpenStack like.
Yeah. Just a little segue on this, because of the talk that was mentioned yesterday, improvement in the passport onboarding process will allow user to filter down where they want to go, and the locations that are more appropriate will kind of show up. So that's part of their improvement.
Version 2.
Yeah, P2.
Okay, so user experience. So like I said, each of us independently went out, filled out all the passport submission forms, turned them in, got the emails back, typed in credit cards wherever appropriate, responded to salespeople's inquiries to go through and get accounts where we could. So in general, as you see here on the chart on the left, we had a 50% success rate of actually getting accounts from the providers that we had. We had, you know, one where it was a technical failure, their website didn't work, you type in all the information, you get a web error. A couple of them we got, didn't hear it back from them after multiple attempts. And then a couple of them where our requests were denied. Basically, I think the salesperson went through and said, well, it doesn't look like you qualify, or they were really looking for people interested in private clouds as opposed to a public cloud experience, so they denied our request, or they denied our request because we weren't in the geographic area that they provided. So, you know, if I'm going in and I want to try something, let me know that ahead of time, and then I'm not even going to apply for that one, right? Send me the directions down through which ones make most sense. And then for those that did give us accounts, we got a varying amount of credits. So for, you know, one of them we got 2 weeks of unlimited usage, unlimited is sort of in quotes, based upon, you know, what the quota is set up on, or it goes from $300 for 2 months, $100 for 1 month, $50 for 1 month. And that's sort of, you know, what can you do with $300? What can you do with $50? What can you do with $100? So let's get into that. Real quick, we did have a couple where we had to sort of circumvent. You want to talk to these ones?
Yeah, well, like John mentioned, like there's some areas like, hey, you're not part of UK, like so we won't let you in. Or Elastex was also one of them. Or you're not part of EU, so like we won't let you in. But then, if you're a pushy ambassador, like I am, then you just go say, yeah, well, I want to talk about your stuff. So like, would be nice because if I don't, then I won't have anything to say about you guys. So I say, oh well, can you just like sign this waiver and then we're good? So, okay, no problem. So then at least we can show the results. So that's good. And the EU side of things for Elastic is that basically the CEO, Henrik, just went and see my LinkedIn profile and say, oh yeah, you're legit, so I'll let you in through like the ticket. So like just have fun. So thanks for that.
Yeah, so that allowed us to take those ones and run them through the rest of our evaluation, whereas otherwise, you know, you might not get an account on them. Okay, so what sort of resources did we get? Within OpenStack, there's a quota which limits how much resources you can run. On a consumption-based cloud, really it comes down to how much cash you want to spend. So if the quotas aren't high enough, I'm sure you can call them up, submit a ticket, and get the quotas to go up once they verify that you have credits. But the quotas do come into effect when you're in the trial period, and maybe you only have $50, or it's a 2-week trial period, and you go through here and you take a look. Floating IPs, a couple of providers give you 1 floating IP. Well, okay, that means you can only have 1 virtual machine exposed. You got a couple where they limit the number of instances you can run. So, and then if you want more instances, you'd have to go back and get those quotas raised. So keep that in mind depending on how large of a sample environment you want to run. So then going into more depth on using the trial credits, so we went through and we said, okay, with our $100 on an individual cloud, based upon what they charge to run a VM per hour, how long can we actually go through? So we got a couple of ideas. So some general feel for if we want to run 1 or 2 VMs, can we run them in the trial period that we have? So some of them, your credits are going to run out before the 30 days are going to be up. Some of them you're going to have more credits, so you'll be able to run multiple VMs at the same time. But I think it would be nice to be able to run consistently a few virtual machines in the trial period rather than just 1. You want to do a multi-tiered environment in the setup. Maybe you want to do a load balancer, and so you want to run a couple of VMs at the current time. So
Kubernetes cluster would be nice with more than 1 VM.
Right. So it would be nice to get a few more credits to go through and run it. It did seem, and when you have a 2-week trial, people travel. I felt like as soon as I got access to the trial and I was traveling, didn't have time, and the next thing I know, my trial was over 2 weeks, right? It's not quite enough from people's busy schedules to actually dive in and get a chance to try things out. Okay, features and experiences. What's the soft product like?
Yeah, so this, well, again, so chart just showing. I was talking about more like what are the APIs that are exposed. So that's basically giving you an idea of what's open. The object store is there, but we're not. Sorry, the object store is not there, but it's there through another way. So they're not integrating it inside Horizon itself. So going through containers and stuff like that, you won't see it, but they will tell you like, oh, you can go through the object store through this URL and then just use your Crescent token. But general idea, of course, all of them will give you like the core functionalities. In terms of heat, there was 2 areas where orchestration was not available. Load balancer, but really through Octavia is getting there. Some of them are offering that as a service and Magnum, which was pretty cool. In case of Magnum, there's only and it's not like they want to just like yay Vexos, but yeah, still they're offering it. But also they are making sure that we're able to deploy like 1.9.x Kubernetes clusters, even though we're at 1.10.2, but still, it's nice to not be like from the release where you're going to get to 1.8 or something. They're always keeping things up, and a few were doing a VPN as a service. But that's giving an idea that if there's something that you need, it's like I absolutely need to do Magnum. I want to test the API. Well, right now there's one, or just like database as a service. But if you want load balancers, then you have to like at least 3 choices. But the idea is to give you a big picture of.
Yeah, it'd be nice for this to be on the passport page. Yeah. So when you decide which system you want to do a trial on, you would know, hey, I want to test out Octavia, because that's one of my requirements on my deployment. Okay, you need to use one of these 3 cloud providers. Yeah,
but like the CNCF has a dashboard now with features, and like OpenStack was tagged as, hey, we've tested it with all of this and it works. Would be nice to have something similar. So also like storage backend, like of course, who's using what, but it's not something that's really advertised. Like, hey, we're running Ceph, or we have like SolidFire, or but there are different storage backend, and of course the perk of having that for some vendors will give you better IOPS for something. Of course, like if somebody has like all flash arrays, you'll get better results than if you're running on spinning drive. That's kind of obvious, but they don't put it out and mention it, but it's a good perk. And of course the cons of that, well, if you're running something that's like storage tiering, better IOPS, and of course your price per minute, hour, second, per gig, or per whatever their definition of price increase is will actually be higher. Not a big deal, but it's good to state it out. Might be interesting also that people that have like cool storage features to show them. OpenStack version. It goes from like Juno to, and for people that are older, they're gonna get the last one, which Rocky. But yeah, so that's not the official. Yeah, it's actually Rocky Mountain. It's not like Rocky Balboa, but I think it's funnier. So yeah, so we can go from Juno to, let's say, Queens, but most of them that we saw, like a lot of people are running like Kilo, Newton in the bracket. Some of them are running, well, Pike and like migrating to Queens. Why does it really matter? Like if I want to test a specific API, I say, well, don't we have like backward compatibility on the API, so it doesn't really matter. But it matters if you want to test something that's deployed in Pike and the guy's running like, you know, Juno. So that's a problem. That's something also that they can be exposed a bit more, saying we're running this. Maybe they don't wanna because say, well, our upgrade cycle is we're upgrading every 2 years, and then we look like the guys who don't upgrade. But it would be nice to also to show what they're running, and also. If you're looking, well, back to the features before, like if you're looking at LBAS v2 with Octavia, well, you know that if somebody's offering you Liberty, well, it's not there. So that's why it's important. That's a sad-looking slide. It's just to give an idea about regions and AZs. Like most of them are. All the regions are based like, well, you know, City Cloud has like multiple regions out there, OVH also. People like Vexos and UK Cloud are starting to put AZs in place. UK Cloud's already at 2 AZs. So basically where you're spinning your stuff, instead of just having our default Nova, if you're just spinning DevStack, well, we have like more than one. So people will deploy in a cell model. So you can use like, well, cell v2 and then you'll have your AZs linked to that. So that's really interesting.
Can you explain real quick what is an AZ and why people would care?
Yeah, AZ would work, would be really helpful when you try to do like 3-tier apps or stuff like that, when you want to like distribute your stuff around. Like if somebody's building from scratch, we'll say, well, make sure you have like 3 AZs so that way you can spread things around, and then having just one, well, it's going to be just in one area. And the cool thing that could happen is that people that have, yes, one AZ but multiple region, is that can we actually like do a 3-tier deployment but spread it around. That's more of a big public cloud feature, kind of like, but it could be really, really interesting to.
Yeah, so I mean, AZ, I always think of AWS when I think AZ, but it's an availability zone.
Yeah.
So if you need to have some resilience in your system, and AZ is supposed to be completely separate. So one AZ could go down, but there are no components of it that might impact the other. So something to consider if you need to do a high availability system. Yep. Oh, Sailor Shah? This is
I'm not going to translate, man.
This is what happens when you don't proofread your slides. Someone else might.
You've hijacked my slides while I was doing another.
Okay, observations. Things that we thought were super cool here. Catalyst had a cool thing. If you want to add someone else into your project, you could go in, click invite user, type in their email address. It'll send them an email, and they can get added on. So I thought this was a great, easy way of adding in new users into a public cloud provider, or adding users into your project space. So this is pretty cool. So thumbs up to that. I also think the Catalyst usage cost page was really nice. You get emailed invoices and stuff like this, but I thought this was very well presented and incorporated into their dashboard as well. So if people are looking for cool things to incorporate. And then I think our grand prize for super cool features is going to be.
Yeah, well, that's my pick. But yeah, I found that the OVH web console, where basically your OpenStack CLI is part of your UI. So you have if you ever use like Google Cloud and you like the shell that's there with all your tools, you don't have to worry about it. I don't know like which way it went. Maybe like somebody from OVH find that really cool. Say, hey, we really need to do that with OpenStack CLI, so I don't have to worry about version, about anything, and that's awesome. So personally, I really love it. So that's my big thumbs up for. As a guy who like hates, I like to reinstall the CLI because I messed up something, or I changed laptop or whatever. It's just there and working.
Or spinning up a VM to install the clients because you're running a Windows machine that doesn't do the client. This was really neat. Okay, so getting out. So once your trial is over, once you're used up all your credits, some of them do turn off your account and bingo, it's gone. The 2-week trial ends and you're kicked out and you can't log out. Virtually all the other ones, you're still on the system. They've got your credit card. They'll start charging you if you use up all the credits or the trial period ends. And even if you haven't started up anything, you do need to be careful because there might be some resources in your cloud that you're going to be charged for afterwards. So if you have any type of virtual routers or floating IP addresses, or you did any snapshots or volumes, so you might think, hey, I'm not running any VMs anymore, there might be some other charges. So once you're done and you don't want to use it anymore, make sure you go through and you delete everything through it, or else you'll start getting invoices for 56 cents for a floating IP that you never released or anything like that. But I did go through. I got the crazy invoices for 56 cents. I was able to send a note back and say, hey, I didn't realize I didn't delete this, and you can go get sort of those things cleared out and reversed. But keep in mind once the trials end. I think this sort of experience could be cleaned up as well. So people, if they can get some sort of easy way to know, hey, you're still being charged for this. And it's not limited to OpenStack. I get the same thing on AWS. I get AWS bills, for 23 cents. You're like, what is still running? You're going through every single AWS service in there, trying to figure out what you're being billed for. Okay, new members.
Yeah, so that's the again a little insert from yesterday. Like yesterday, there was a Passport 2 talk from the foundation, and Into VPS is going to be brought in the Passport program. So Romanian-based provider. That's the website. So of course, if you go on the website and you register and then you don't have the trial thing, then you're going to start paying right now. So that's just an FYI that there's a new member coming. So it's going to be 11 members of the Passport program. So if you want to join the Passport program, so if you're a cloud provider, I don't know, maybe like that's in Calgary base, and you're sitting in the back right there, and then you say, oh, that would be interesting. Sorry. Then, well, those are the ways of reaching out to the foundation: email, wiki, eavesdrop on the meetings, user committee also with the list, or if nothing goes, then you can just ping your ambassador and then. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it would be interesting to have on the Canadian side of things having more people present inside Passport.
Yeah, like we've got Chinese public clouds. Didn't see any of them in there.
Yeah,
and I know there
might be some regulation issue. Or
could be. Yeah, in the States, I know there's some public cloud providers that aren't in there.
Yeah,
I should probably contact and ask what's going on. Okay, alternatives.
Yeah, so is that me again? Yeah. Okay, so if you don't want to, I kind of covered that at the beginning, but like if Passport is not possible, like maybe in your area there's no public cloud provider in OpenStack, but you want to use it differently. Well, of course you can use DigitalOcean, Google Cloud, or AWS, or Cloud.ca. I don't know, like things like that you can use to just like spin a bunch of VMs. They give you layer 2 control. You can do your stuff, but still you're not getting OpenStack right off the box. Like it's for you to work, spin a big VM, do DevStack, spin a big VM, do Ansible OpenStack all in one. But yeah, but those will be linked to VM cost and traffic costs, where the other one is just like, hey, I got OpenStack, it's there, I just got a trial account and the API is working. So, but that gives you an idea if you're using, well, CD Cloud or Rackspace or others. Yes, there's the Passport trial, but also if you're going with others, have to think about the cost of running that big VM.
I think it's also interesting if you go through and you take a look at the other sort of non-OpenStack cloud providers, and if someone comes to me and they just said, hey, I want to get involved with cloud computing, I want to use cloud computing, I haven't used anything before, they go to AWS, they go to Google Cloud, they'll get the free tier access that's free, right, for as long as they want for a whole bunch of services. I would love to see something on the OpenStack side where it's some minimal free tier. You can run one VM, ultra tiny micro, just so you can practice starting up VM, shutting it down, and you just have that free tier, get them in there using it. DigitalOcean at $5 a month, that's sort of hard to beat. Maybe that's even an easier way to go than going through some of the more arduous, interacting with a salesperson through Passport for some of the providers to get access. You know, it's hard to beat sort of $5 a month, but it's also hard to beat some of the free tier providers from the big clouds. And you know, I think that gets into one of our recommendations is it would be really nice for some of the public cloud providers to have that free tier.
One thing, and that's just suggestion part of the process. So, reminder, you have a meeting?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just imagine through the infrastructure project within OpenStack, you know, they have their entire CI pipeline, or just like the OpenStack Ansible, like when they're done and let's say like Rocky comes out as a GA, then yes, you have all the playbooks and everything, but with the Passport or the foundation itself, make sure that at the end of a new release, we're able to push in those public cloud catalogs, pre-bake images so that people can just say, I want to go AWS Marketplace, I want OpenStack this version, it's pre-baked, it's validated, it runs, I test the API, I'm done, thank you. So it makes things a lot simpler for them. So just say, we're all doing it on the private cloud side of things, like you use Packer or whatever, you just bake your stuff in and you just keep on deploying, but having something similar as an AMI or a GCP image would be awesome. So just a suggestion. Yeah, well, you know, DevStack is also a good suggestion there. We all use it on our laptop, but then you just kill the VM and then nothing works when you come back. Then it's easy to redeploy it, and then you're good to go. Like in some meetups in Toronto, we actually use that so that people can just use it quickly. So it was as easy as using like Terraform to orchestrate the entire thing. So all the guests have VM, and when we're done, we just kill everything, which is good. But sometimes you don't have the resources to do it on your laptop. Then you end up on the public side of things. Then you start paying again. It's still a good candidate. It's always a good candidate, but it has some pros and cons. So
yeah,
just keep that in mind.
It's a good candidate if you want to become an OpenStack certified, if you're a system administrator, but if you're like a web designer and you just want to consume a public cloud usage, it's not the best way to go to find out what OpenStack's all about.
Yeah, no, for sure. Unless you want to spin like 50 Ceros VM images, but yeah. Yeah, so I'm a sucker for OpenStack Ansible. I've been using it for a while, so that's also like possibilities. It's a bit more on the consuming resources side, but you can do an all-in-one, pretty straightforward. You can actually already have access to Rocky. You can go back in time to all the releases that are still supported. It's pretty straightforward. I really like it. But that's my opinion. Some people might, be more fan of, the OpenStack Puppet side of things or salt deployments. But this one is, for me, again, my own opinion, really interesting to look into.
Okay, so our thoughts on how we can improve Passport. We talked about this one already. I think it would be great if there was a free tier for a year, get people in the door, minimum usage, that they can, spin up a tiny instance and, get access to the dashboard and not worry about it getting turned off in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. It'd be great for us as meetup organizers as well to be able to give these out and say, okay, come into a meetup. This month we're going to be doing a tutorial on using the Horizon dashboard or setting up a virtual network, and knowing that they already have access to a public cloud, and we don't have to go through exercises of getting them accounts and getting them credits or anything like that. It makes it easier for us. We run, between the two of us, we run a number of user groups in North America. I think that's a great distribution channel. The OVH, and I think CityCloud had them, little cards that you could scratch off for codes. I love those. I used to give them out as candy when people came into the meetups and said, someone comes in and says, I want to try a cloud. I would give that. It was like 300 euros, and people could try it out. I would love to see a program where you guys give us a bunch of codes. We would only give them to people that came into the meetups and actually did it. It would be a great way for us to get people into the meetups. It would be a great way for the public cloud providers to get users that are pre-vetted and have gone through a little bit of training when they go to the meetups. And then also if the codes could be cumulative. So you come in 1 month into the meetup and you get a code and you can use it, and then you come back the next month and you get another code and you can add it into your same account, right? So you can keep your account alive. It gets people coming into a habit of going to the meetups, learning more about OpenStack, and at the same time getting to keep using that public cloud provider. You want to talk about the easier onboarding?
Yeah, well, there's multiple discussion. Like the way you onboard, well, you kind of jump through hoops. So if there was a way, well, if the OpenStack user, like the distribution through like the OpenStack user group is, I think it's pretty, it makes things super simple actually, because we kind of do the vetting for the providers. So, but on the other side, like, could we just hook up like our OpenStack ID kind of thing with, in a way of doing like SSO or SAML too? So we just go through, and then if I'm already a real person in the OpenStack side of things, like, just please let me in and go into the trial. So that'd be a good way of simplifying the sign-up process.
Yeah, the approval process, not having to go through and talk to a salesperson to get $50 worth of credit and explain to them that, no, I really don't need a private cloud. I just want to try out your public cloud offering. Streamline that. It shouldn't take 3-4 days to get an account on some of these cloud providers. And it also shouldn't take 2 to 3 emails to be told, no, you're not going to get an account. So easier turn off. I think there should be some sort of button where you can just say, okay, I'm done, please delete everything and disable. I also get people that are reluctant to type in their credit card number when they get $50 worth of credit, because they don't know what's going to happen at the end of the $50 credit, if they're going to get hit with a $100 bill or a $200 bill or a 50-cent bill. There's that unknown, and that prevents them from signing up, which is sort of a pity that they've got that fear of you know, what might happen, what might that bill be. And you know, for a student, unfortunately, getting hit with a $50 bill if they aren't doing things correctly is a little bit painful. Okay, so we talked about the single sign up. Yeah, it'd be nice to just type your information into one. Maybe it goes out to all 10. You get accounts at all 10. Having at a glance with comparison of all the providers, so you know which one should I pick based upon what my needs are. And then I think there needs to be a little bit more of testing through the process. I don't know if that's a foundation role or someone else, just to validate that technically the process works, that people are getting some good feedback, and you know, sort of the secret shopper process, just to make sure everything is working well. Okay, so wrapping it up. So can we recommend passports to OpenStack newbies? We're each sort of going to go, maybe I'll answer this one first. Yeah, I think it's a way to go, but you know, I'm probably going to tell newbies that are looking to use this, you know, these 3 cloud providers, because I've sort of vetted them out and I know they're going to work fine and you're going to get, you know, a positive experience. So I think that's the way to go. Can you recommend Passport? What's your?
Well, yeah, actually, it's really like the idea behind Passport is great. It's like bringing people through cloud providers, or maybe bringing even customers to those cloud providers, which is good. Also providing like access to OpenStack so that we can ramp up knowledge and, you know, cross-pollinate. So that's awesome. So no problem on recommending Passport, but need some improvement.
Yeah. So does it give users a warm fuzzy? I think it comes down to which provider they pick. You know, of the 10 providers, I think if they pick 3 or 4 of the good ones, yes, they're going to get a warm experience. If they end up picking ones that never get back to them, or the website crashes, you know, it's going to be inconsistent. So, you know, you sort of have a 50-50 chance of getting a warm fuzzy first experience with OpenStack. You got input on that one, or
Yeah.
go to the next one?
No, it's good. That's
Yeah, are some passport providers better than others? Are some easier to sign up? Do some providers provide more features? Definitely. Each of them are separate. Some of them have really fast, you know, 3-4 hours and bingo, you're online, as opposed to 3 or 4 days, or not hearing anything for 5 days and then finally being denied. So yes, definitely. So maybe we need to have a Yelp system on which ones, you know, user reviews on which ones are great. And like we said, you've seen the data. Some of them definitely have more features, and some of them definitely do have longer trials, and you're able to use more. What advice should we give to newbies about passports?
Well, just it's pretty simple, and it goes back to the recommendation of, you know, what can be done to better things. That just filter out what are your actual needs, and then from there pick up the one that actually fit the bills better for you. Would make everything a lot simpler instead of going through a process where at the end you just figure out that, oops, I really wanted this API and it's not there. So just you have to start over.
Yeah, I would probably give them the advice of, here's the good core set that you can try. Don't be afraid to sign up for more than one in case you get caught up in some sort of approval process or it doesn't do what you need, or it doesn't give you enough quota. Sign up for a couple of them so you can experience them all. And what advice can we give to the passport providers?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's based on the feedback that we're trying to give with this presentation. That is, we didn't name who was the longest process. That was not the goal, but maybe review the process internally to make sure that if actually someone comes and requests a trial, some of them you get the trial code has expired, so that's something that's on the provider. But if I'm going there, it's kind of sad. So just like a self-review of this to make the experience of people coming in simpler, because at the end, if they end up being your customer, that's just good for everybody.
Yeah, it's like we need a CI/CD test that's constantly going through Passport, making sure it works right. Yeah, I would say free tier. That's a +1. More credits. Give the credits to the user group so we can get people on board them. Make the process, streamline it, simpler as opposed to introducing more steps. That's just going to shy people away. Yeah. And I would use AWS as an example, right? AWS, you log in, bingo, and within 5 minutes you can be spinning up a VM. I think that's the holy grail. We need to have the same sort of experience that AWS has. That's who we're up against. Okay, questions. The cat is back.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
Yes, if you have questions, please use the mic.
Oh yeah, use the mic.
Really interesting. I really liked the fact how you provided transparency over how all the different providers handle the different things. I think one improvement proposal you made was, shouldn't we have that transparency for all the users? So I guess I would, maybe it's not a question, I guess I would just propose, can we just maybe link that presentation to the Passport page? So customers, people that want to try OpenStack would just get that kind of transparency, because you invested quite a bit of work to get that done, and I think that would improve it for everybody. And then the ones that might not look that well on that list, maybe they use that as a opportunity to improve, and then they talk back to you, and you can adjust the table.
Well, is there anyone here from the foundation, or is there? Okay, we got one. Okay, there we go. I will send you the slides. I will open up a ticket. I will tag you in the tickets. And by 4 o'clock, we will expect to have the page updated.
I was also going to say the user committee as well, maybe something that this would be good feedback to drive into, where they could actually work towards some of even the pre-baked image type stuff.
Right. Yeah. I know the user committee's got a breakfast at 7:30 tomorrow.
Yes.
That is too early in the morning for Stacy.
Oh, man.
But I will be there.
Can I just sneak in?
Yes, please.
I just want to say a big thank you for all the work that you have put into this. It's really great to get this feedback. And I really hope that you have the time to join us in the forum session we have at 3:30.
Okay. Are you Tobias?
Yes.
I ran into your boss last night.
Oh.
Did he tell you?
It's good that you said that.
I don't know if he's your boss, but he says
he
he's the guy in charge of. And I explained this whole thing to him, and he's like, Tobias, you need to talk to Tobias. He said exactly all of the same things.
We have been talking about a lot of the things that you are suggesting as improvements and killer points, and that will continue that discussion later today as well. So that's why I'm really hoping that you can join us there.
So tell us again, it's 3:30. What's the name of the forum?
3:30. It's Passport Program. Version 2, I think.
Version 2, okay.
That was yesterday.
But I can probably...
Or was it yesterday?
Yeah.
No.
There's another one today also.
It's a forum session today.
It's version 3 today.
And I hope I have...
Will we be discussing Ethereum?
I don't
Oh,
have
man, burn.
We will discuss that.
Okay.
I'm actually hosting another forum session, so I have to run. But
Okay.
Perfect.
Merci.
Thanks for coming.
So
You're going to kick us out.
just a real quick question. So in your experience with doing all this, it seems to me and maybe and I'd like to get your opinion, is should they be more prescriptive about the different providers, saying you show there's different versions of OpenStack, different versions of how they're kind of breaking up different services. For a newbie experience, I would think that maybe a little bit more consistency among hey, this is all cloud providers are giving the service. They should all have this minimum standard. Do you think that may improve the experience?
Yeah, I think you need to do it both ways. I think you need to be, If you're a newbie and you're not concerned, here's your choices, right? And maybe it's you're a newbie and what region you're in, and here's your subset that you can pick from. If you're an advanced user and you're looking for specific functionality, you know, I think you should be able to go through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a newbie quick route, get you on board fast as possible, and then a more feature-driven one. How much time do we have? Are we?
Oh, we're way over, man.
Oh, we are over. Okay.
But, okay, so.
Yeah, come in afterwards. You can find us. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
À bientôt.